Imagine standing on a coastline 66 million years ago. The air is thick, humid, and smells of salt and sulfur. You think you're looking at a small island drifting a mile offshore. Then the island breathes. A tail the size of an oak tree breaks the surface, followed by a skull longer than a king-sized bed. This isn't a movie monster. This isn't a kaiju from the mind of a filmmaker. This was the Mosasaurus. A 60-foot, 15-ton predator that would treat a great white shark like a snack-sized cracker. But the real mystery isn't that they existed. The mystery is why. Why did Earth once churn out biological titans like a factory line, while today's predators look like miniatures by comparison? Today, on Animal Lover Planet, we are unearthing the colossal truth. We're going back to a time when the planet wasn't just a home, it was a forge. And the fires of that forge created gods. To understand the giants, we have to stop looking at the animals and start looking at the air. Modern Earth is, frankly, a bit of a desert compared to the Mesozoic. If you could step out of a time machine into the Cretaceous period, your first breath would feel different, sweeter, heavier. During the golden age of giants, atmospheric oxygen levels weren't just a little higher, they were surging. Some estimates suggest oxygen levels reached as high as 30% to 35%, compared to just 21% today. Think of oxygen as the high-octane fuel for the engine of life. With more oxygen, every breath an animal took delivered a massive surge of energy to its cells. This allowed for metabolic rates that could support massive muscle mass, without the animal simply collapsing from exhaustion. But it wasn't just oxygen. It was the carbon. High levels of CO2 acted like a global greenhouse, turning the entire planet into a literal jungle. There were no polar ice caps. Ferns grew as tall as houses. This hyper-productivity meant there was a massive surplus of calories at the bottom of the food chain. And in nature, if there's a surplus of energy at the bottom, the top of the food chain is going to get weird. But here's the part most people miss. It wasn't just about having enough food. It was about the stability of that food. For millions of years, the climate didn't swing wildly. This allowed evolution to experiment with size without the threat of a sudden famine wiping out the biggest eaters. Earth was a buffet that never closed. And the guests were about to get very, very large. If you think the land was scary, the ocean was a nightmare. In the water, gravity is your friend. It supports your weight, allowing you to grow to sizes that would crush your bones on land. But to reach kaiju status, you need a specific kind of pressure. Meet the ichthyosaurs. Early in the Triassic, these creatures looked like modest lizards. But within a few million years, a blink of an eye in geological terms, they evolved into monsters like Shastasaurus. We're talking 65 feet long. These weren't slow, lumbering beasts. They were sleek, warm-blooded torpedoes. But why did the ocean force them to be so big? It's a concept called thermal inertia. In the deep, cold water, a larger body holds heat better. The bigger you are, the more efficient your engine becomes. And then came the mosasaurs. They didn't just inhabit the ocean. They dominated it through sheer, terrifying diversification. Imagine a monitor lizard that decided to swap its legs for paddles and its teeth for steak knives. The Mosasaurus hoffmanni reached lengths of 56 feet. Its jaw was double-hinged, much like a snake's, allowing it to swallow prey whole. It had a second set of teeth in the roof of its mouth. Once you were in, there was no out. These marine predators were the result of an evolutionary arms race. The prey was getting bigger and faster, so the predators had to become kaijus, just to keep up. It was a cycle of escalation that turned the prehistoric seas into a literal war zone of giants. Now, pause for a second. Looking at these numbers, 50 feet, 60 feet, 15 tons, it sounds like a different planet. You might be wondering, if Earth could do it then, why can't it do it now? Is there a biological limit we've hit? Or is the world we live in today simply too broken to support a king? The answer lies in a single word: efficiency. And as we move from the sea to the land, we're going to see how one specific predator became the most efficient killing machine in history. Stick with us, because what we've discovered about the T-Rex changes everything. Welcome to the Mesozoic caloric engine. On land, the rules are harder. You have to fight gravity. You have to find enough food to move a multi-ton frame. For a long time, we thought the Tyrannosaurus rex was a slow, scavenging lizard. We were wrong. The T-Rex wasn't just a big dinosaur. It was an ecological masterpiece. Recent studies suggest an adult T-Rex had a bite force of 8,000 pounds per square inch. That's enough to explode the bones of its prey, literally turning them into nutritious shrapnel. But how did the land support something that weighed 8 to 9 tons? It comes down to niche partitioning. In these ancient ecosystems, a T-Rex didn't just grow up, it transformed. A juvenile T-Rex was fast, sleek, and hunted small, agile prey. As it aged, it grew massive and powerful to hunt the tanks of the dinosaur world, Triceratops and Ankylosaurs. One species occupied 2 or 3 different roles in the food web as it grew. This is why you didn't need 10 different types of large predators. The T-Rex was the entire elite squad. The land was stable. The continents were positioned in a way that allowed for massive, interconnected plains. A predator could roam for thousands of miles without hitting a mountain range or a desert that would starve it. The T-Rex was a kaiju because the Earth gave it a stage large enough to perform on. So here is the million-dollar question for our animal lover planet community. Where are they now? Why is the largest land predator today a polar bear, which would look like a lapdog to a Giganotosaurus? There are 3 main reasons. The energy gap. Our atmosphere is thinner in terms of fuel. Lower oxygen and lower CO2 mean less plant biomass. Less plant biomass means fewer giant herbivores. Fewer giant herbivores mean the job opening for a 40-foot carnivore simply doesn't exist. The mammalian tax. We are mammals. We are warm-blooded, which is great for intelligence and stamina, but it's expensive. A T-Rex, being likely somewhere between cold and warm-blooded, mesothermic, could survive on much less food than a mammal of the same size would require. A 9-ton mammalian predator would need to eat almost constantly just to keep its heart beating. Habitat fragmentation. We live in a world of fences, roads, and cities. A kaiju-level predator needs a continent-sized hunting ground. Today, those wild spaces are gone. We have effectively shrunk the world. And in a shrinking world, the giants are the first to disappear. When we look at the fossils of these titans, we aren't just looking at old bones. We're looking at the potential of life. The kaijus of the past prove that when the conditions are right, when the energy is abundant and the environment is stable, life will always push the boundaries of what is possible. Could they ever return? If the Earth's temperature continues to rise and CO2 levels keep climbing, we are, in a strange way, recreating the atmosphere of the Mesozoic. But evolution takes millions of years. Before a new king of the monsters could evolve, our current fragile ecosystem would likely buckle. The giants teach us that greatness is tied to the health of the planet. They were the crown jewels of a thriving, high-energy Earth. If you could bring back just one of these prehistoric titans to see it in the flesh from a very safe distance, which one would it be? The deep-sea mosasaur, or the king of the land, the T-Rex? Let us know in the comments below. Your theories are what keep this channel growing. If you want to keep unearthing the mysteries of the animal kingdom, both past and present, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the Animal Lover Planet family. Because the more we learn about the giants of the past, the more we realize how precious the giants of today, the whales, the elephants, the big cats really are. Until next time, keep exploring.